My beloved child. There is something that has remained hidden for far longer than anyone expected. It was never spoken aloud, never written in a letter, and never shared with the people standing closest to your soulmate. Yet every single day, it has quietly lived inside their heart, growing heavier with every passing moment. The silence has lasted so long that even they have begun wondering how much longer they can carry it alone. Don't skip. Listen carefully. For a very long time, your soulmate convinced themselves that keeping this truth hidden was the safest choice. They believed that silence would protect everyone involved. They thought that if they buried their emotions deeply enough, life would eventually become easier. They smiled when others expected them to smile. They acted as though nothing was wrong. They answered questions with calm voices while hiding storms inside their heart. But every smile came with a cost, because the truth refused to disappear. No matter where they went, something kept reminding them of you. Sometimes it was an old song playing unexpectedly in the background. Sometimes it was a familiar place they had not visited for years. Sometimes it was simply hearing someone say a word that instantly brought your memory rushing back. Those moments always caught them off guard. They would pause, take a deep breath, and quietly pretend nothing had happened. Yet inside, everything had already changed again. The people around your soulmate noticed that something was different. They could see the distant look in their eyes. They could sense that their thoughts often wandered somewhere far away. More than once, someone asked them a simple question. Is there something you're not telling us? Every single time, they gave the same answer. No, everything is fine. But it wasn't fine. Because the one truth they continued hiding was becoming impossible to carry. Don't skip. Late one evening, after everyone else had gone to sleep, your soulmate found themselves sitting completely alone. The room was silent except for the sound of the clock slowly ticking. They stared out the window for what felt like hours, replaying old memories they had tried so hard to forget. One memory after another returned. Moments of laughter. Moments of hope. Moments that never truly left their heart. For the first time in a long while, they whispered your name so quietly that even they could barely hear it. That single moment changed something inside them. Instead of pushing their feelings away again, they allowed themselves to admit what they had been refusing to accept. The truth was still alive. It had never disappeared. It had only been hidden. The following morning, something unusual happened. A close family member noticed that your soulmate looked exhausted. They asked if everything was all right. Your soulmate hesitated. For several long seconds, they almost spoke. The words reached the edge of their lips. Then stopped. Fear took over once again. What if nobody understands? What if everything becomes even more complicated? So they remained silent. But silence no longer felt comfortable. It felt like a prison. Every day after that became more difficult than the last. They tried distracting themselves with work, responsibilities, and conversations with other people. Yet every distraction eventually failed. Because one powerful truth continued knocking on the door of their heart. It refused to leave. Then something happened that nobody expected. Someone from their past unexpectedly mentioned your name during an ordinary conversation. The room instantly became quiet. Your soulmate froze. Their heartbeat became faster. Although they tried hiding their reaction, one person sitting nearby noticed everything. That person didn't say anything immediately. They simply watched. Carefully. Thoughtfully. Almost as though they had just discovered a secret that explained years of silence. Later that evening, the same person quietly approached your soulmate and asked only one question. How long are you planning to hide the truth? Your soulmate looked away. No answer came. Because deep inside, they already knew that the truth could not remain hidden forever. What they didn't realize was that someone else had already started putting all the missing pieces together. And within the next few hours, a discovery would be made that could change everything your soulmate had been trying so desperately to protect. Don't skip. The question refused to leave your soulmate's mind. How long are you planning to hide the truth? Those words echoed over and over again, even after everyone had gone home. They tried to distract themselves, but nothing worked. Every task remained unfinished because their thoughts kept returning to the same place. For years they had convinced themselves that silence was strength. Now, for the first time, that silence felt like the greatest mistake they had ever made. Don't skip. The next morning, your soulmate woke up much earlier than usual. Sleep had brought them no peace. Instead, it had filled their dreams with memories they believed had already faded. Every dream carried the same message, that the truth could no longer stay locked inside forever. They walked outside while the streets were still quiet. The cool morning air should have calmed them, but instead it reminded them of another morning from long ago, when they had almost chosen honesty. On that day they had planned to tell someone everything about you. They had rehearsed every word in their mind. But before they could speak, fear stepped in and stole their courage. From that moment onward, they promised themselves they would never bring the subject up again. Yet promises made out of fear rarely survive forever. As they continued walking, they noticed an elderly stranger sitting alone on a bench. The stranger smiled gently and said something unexpected. Sometimes the heaviest burden is not the truth itself. It's pretending the truth doesn't exist. Your soulmate stood completely still. Those words struck their heart with incredible force. They wondered how a complete stranger could unknowingly describe exactly what they had been living through. Without saying another word, they quietly walked away. But the sentence stayed with them. All day long. Don't skip. Later that afternoon, a close friend arrived without warning. They had come for an ordinary visit, yet within minutes they realized something was wrong. You've changed, the friend said softly. You've been carrying something for a long time. Your soulmate forced a smile. I'm fine. No, the friend replied. You're surviving. Not living. The room fell silent. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then the friend asked one final question. Does this have anything to do with the person you've never truly forgotten? Your soulmate's eyes immediately filled with emotion. That tiny reaction revealed more than words ever could. The friend didn't pressure them for answers. Instead, they quietly placed a hand on their shoulder and said, keeping the truth hidden may protect you for a little while. But it will slowly break your heart forever. After those words, the friend stood up and left. The door closed. Silence returned. But this silence felt different. It was no longer empty. It was filled with the weight of a decision that could no longer be delayed. That evening, your soulmate opened an old drawer they had avoided for years. Inside were forgotten memories. A few small keepsakes. A handwritten note. And one object they had promised themselves they would never look at again. The moment they picked it up, every emotion they had buried came rushing back. Their hands began to shake. Their eyes filled with tears they could no longer hold back. For years they had hidden this object because it reminded them of one powerful truth. No matter how much time had passed, no matter how many people had entered or left their life, no matter how hard they tried to move forward, their heart had never truly let go of you. Don't skip. Just then, a phone call interrupted the silence. They answered. No one spoke for several seconds. Then a calm voice on the other end said, I know what you've been hiding. Your soulmate's heartbeat stopped for a moment. Who is this? They whispered. The caller ignored the question. Instead, they continued. You've stayed silent long enough. If you don't tell the truth yourself, someone else will. Before another word could be spoken, the call suddenly disconnected. Your soulmate stared at the phone in complete disbelief. Who knew their secret? How long had that person known? And most importantly, what truth were they about to reveal to everyone? As those questions raced through their mind, they had no idea that somewhere else, another person had already uncovered the first piece of evidence that would expose the powerful truth your soulmate had been hiding for so many years. Don't skip. The mysterious phone call changed everything. Your soulmate remained frozen, staring at the dark screen of the phone as if it might light up again at any second. Their hands were trembling. Their breathing had become uneven. It wasn't just because someone had called, it was because the caller knew something that no one was ever supposed to know. Don't skip. For several minutes, they replayed every word in their mind. You've stayed silent long enough. If you don't tell the truth yourself, someone else will. Those sentences felt far too specific to be a coincidence. Who could possibly know? Who had been watching? And why now, after all this time? Unable to calm their thoughts, your soulmate searched through old contacts, wondering if the voice sounded familiar. One name after another appeared on the screen, but none of them seemed right. They even listened to old voice messages, hoping to recognize the tone. Nothing matched. The mystery only grew deeper. That night, sleep never came. Every time they closed their eyes, memories returned with greater intensity than before. They remembered moments they had almost forgotten, small conversations, unfinished promises, quiet smiles, and one particular evening when they had nearly revealed everything. That evening had changed the course of their life. They had written down every feeling they wanted to confess. The words were honest. There were no excuses, no pride, no fear, only truth. But just before sharing those words, unexpected circumstances forced them to remain silent. They folded the page, locked it away, and convinced themselves that one day they would find the perfect moment. But that perfect moment never arrived. Years passed. The paper remained hidden. Yet the feelings written on it never faded. Don't skip. The following afternoon, your soulmate received an unexpected visit from a family member. The conversation began casually. They talked about ordinary things. Work. Daily life. Future plans. Everything seemed completely normal. Then, without warning, the family member asked, "Can I ask you something honestly?" Your soulmate nodded. "Is there someone you've never stopped thinking about?" Silence. The room became unbelievably quiet. Your soulmate looked away instead of answering. That silence became the answer. The family member sighed softly. "I thought so." Your soulmate looked back with surprise. "What do you mean?" The family member hesitated for a moment before speaking. "For a long time, I've watched you pretend to be happy. But every time someone mentioned the future, your eyes changed. Every time people talked about moving on, you became unusually quiet. I didn't understand why. Until recently." Your soulmate's heart began pounding. "Until recently?" The family member slowly nodded. "I found something." Those 3 words immediately changed the atmosphere. Your soulmate felt every muscle in their body tighten. "What did you find?" The family member didn't answer immediately. Instead, they reached into a small bag they had brought with them. They carefully placed an old envelope on the table. The moment your soulmate saw it, their face lost all color. It was impossible. That envelope was supposed to remain hidden forever. No one knew where it had been kept. No one. Their hands slowly reached toward it, almost afraid to touch it. The family member spoke gently. "I wasn't looking for this. I found it by accident. I didn't open it. But I knew it meant something important. Don't skip." Your soulmate closed their eyes for a few seconds. Memories came flooding back. That envelope contained the very words they had written years ago, the confession they never had the courage to share. The truth they believed would stay hidden forever. They held the envelope tightly but couldn't bring themselves to open it. Not yet. The family member quietly stood up. Before leaving, they turned back and said something your soulmate would never forget. You've spent years protecting a secret. But sometimes, secrets don't protect us. They slowly imprison us. After the door closed, your soulmate remained sitting alone. The envelope rested in their hands. For several long minutes, they simply stared at it. Finally, with trembling fingers, they broke the seal. The paper inside was exactly as they remembered. The handwriting, the faded ink. Every word brought back emotions they thought had disappeared. As they began reading the first few lines, tears quietly rolled down their face. There was no anger, no regret. Only one overwhelming realization. The powerful truth they had hidden for so many years had never stopped being real. But before they could finish reading, a loud knock echoed through the house. 3 slow knocks. Then silence. Your soulmate carefully folded the letter again and walked toward the door. They opened it. But no one was standing there. Only a small package rested on the doorstep. There was no sender's name. No return address. Just one handwritten sentence across the front. It's finally time for everyone to know the truth. Your soulmate's heartbeat raced as they slowly picked up the mysterious package. Completely unaware that what was hidden inside would reveal a shocking connection they never imagined possible. Don't skip. The package felt heavier than it should have. Your soulmate stood silently at the doorway, staring at the handwriting on the front. Their heartbeat echoed through the quiet house. For a long moment, they considered leaving it unopened. But deep inside, they already knew that whatever was inside this package was connected to the truth they had spent years hiding. Don't skip. With trembling hands, they carefully untied the string wrapped around the small box. Inside was another envelope. Beneath it rested a single photograph. The moment your soulmate picked up the photograph, tears instantly filled their eyes. It was an old picture from a time they believed had been forgotten forever. Looking at it reminded them of every promise, every dream, and every feeling they had buried beneath years of silence. Slowly, they opened the envelope. Inside was a handwritten note. It simply read, "The truth never disappeared. It only waited until you were brave enough to face it." Those words broke the final wall around their heart. For years, they had blamed circumstances. They had blamed timing. They had blamed fear. But now they realized that the greatest obstacle had always been their own silence. They sat down, holding the old photograph in one hand and the letter they had written years ago in the other. For the first time, they read every single word aloud. Each sentence reminded them that their feelings had never changed. Each memory proved that what they had tried to forget had remained alive all along. At that very moment, another family member quietly entered the room. They didn't interrupt. They simply listened. When your soulmate finished reading, the room remained silent for several seconds. Then the family member smiled gently. "I've been waiting for this day." Your soulmate looked up in surprise. "You knew?" The family member nodded. "I didn't know every detail. But I knew your heart had been carrying something too heavy for too long. None of us wanted to force you. We were only waiting for you to be ready." Those words lifted a burden your soulmate had carried for years. For the first time, they no longer felt trapped by fear. Instead, they felt free. Don't skip. The following morning, your soulmate made a decision they never imagined they would have the courage to make. No more pretending. No more hiding. No more allowing fear to speak louder than truth. They gathered every letter, every memory, and every reminder they had kept hidden. Not to erase the past, but to finally make peace with it. As sunlight filled the room, they quietly whispered, "I can't change yesterday. But I refuse to let silence decide my tomorrow." In that single moment, the powerful truth they had hidden for so long no longer felt like a burden. It became the beginning of healing. Sometimes life doesn't ask us to rewrite the past. It simply asks us to stop running from it. And sometimes, the strongest act of love is not holding everything inside. It is finally allowing the truth to be seen. If this fictional story touched your heart, remember this message. The truth may wait. It may hide. It may remain silent for years. But when the right moment arrives, honesty has the power to bring peace where fear once lived. Thank you for listening, and may your journey always be guided by hope, courage, and the strength to embrace the truth when the time is right.